to start? Let's see how well this goes. Okay, we gotta get the
Oh, I don't-
procedural stuff out of the way.
Yes, the newsletter is on the webpage. Didn't you log in?
No.
So you'll find the newsletter at our website in this usual place, lccug.com/newsletters. And it has some good articles, as usually a lot of them we take from other sources that make articles available to computer users groups. But we do want to stop and consider accepting the minutes as they appear in the newsletter for the last meeting. So do we have a motion to do that?
Sure.
Mickey is suggesting we accept the minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. And all in favor? Yeah. But you don't have to print it off if you don't want to, but you can look through it because it does have some good articles.
I usually don't print
So today we want to talk about what you need to think about with the move that Microsoft wants us to, everybody to move to Windows 11 because they want to stop supporting.
Well, they will stop.
They're not stop supporting Windows 10 in the fall, October. And that means your computer won't be as secure because it won't be getting security updates. Isn't that the bottom line?
Yes.
And it won't get the updates for new things that might be developed to put on your computer. Whereas 11 will have any new features that comes along. So we're going to be talking about considerations in doing that. How many are still using a Windows 10?
I am. I stopped using it.
I know you.
I could never get it to download properly, so
Okay.
I'm back at about, I don't know.
7 or something.
Maybe something like that.
Just keep in mind that security might be.
And I don't use it.
Okay.
That's all.
Oh, that's also, you're right.
Spend a lot of money and don't use it.
I know. So one of our options as we go through it. One of the
Camera.
options we're gonna, good enough. One of the options we're going to talk about is actually replacing your desktop computer with a nice, cool, handy dandy mini computer that just blows my mind away. And I have to think back on my first computer, which had to have been 25 years ago.
Oh, at least.
I don't know.
Sure.
My desktop, and it comes in a huge box. There was a separate box just for manuals.
Oh, right.
How to do this, how to do that, thick manuals. And I imagine it came with a monitor and the keyboard and everything, and took all the space to set it up.
It had USB.
No, did not have USB.
No USB.
Not well.
Well, if you go back as far as I'm going.
Right.
The diamonds
To start.
USB was a novelty when I got my computer. It was never there.
My first handy computer, I had floppy disk, and I mean the 5 1/4 floppy disk. And I went to Radio Shack and had them install a 3.5 inch as well. And they said, "Whoa, this is going to be powerful. You can have 2 drives." I said, "Isn't anybody else asking for this?" And then that probably didn't even have a CD yet, right?
Oh no.
No, it wouldn't have had a CD drive.
Nope. No.
So times they have changed.
Yep.
And now we're back to this little tiny thing that we'll be showing soon here. That is can replace that desktop computer, and it's powerful. And
Hello.
Flexible and everything.
Hello.
Be looking at that soon.
Hello.
Do you have the list of links, Mickey, you can put on the screen.
Sure.
Oh, there's that was our webpage, lccug.com. So we have some links there in the first section that that you can find if you go to our webpage and click on, what is it, presentation links?
Yes, if you go to
Yeah, go back.
lccg.com.
Go to our webpage there, and on the left, presentation links, and you'll see that. And you can, we've put some there on the issues that we found people discussing. Did you see one of those first ones we could?
Well, let's see here, let's go over some of
Suggest
these
we
here.
start with.
Yeah, there's really 5 options for, if you have, Windows 10 and you want to upgrade. The first option is to check and see if your PC is compatible. The thing is that it might be, even though you don't know it, you may be able to update the BIOS to enable the TPM, which is one of the requirements.
But people aren't gonna know what all that means.
Well, hopefully, one of the things,
The TPM is the setting in your computer that it has to be at least a minimum.
it's an encryption module, right?
It has to be a minimum level
Of-
or it won't install, it won't upgrade to 11.
Right, there's CPU requirements and there's the requirement for the TPM2. This particular screenshot is showing that TPM2 is not enabled, but this particular screenshot also means that it's possible that there's a BIOS update available for this PC to make it TPM2 enabled. Another option is to pay for updates for Windows 10, which I really don't recommend. There's $30 for the first year, and it goes up after that. If you're going to spend $30, in my opinion, you may as well go ahead and buy another computer, because they're less than $200 for a decent computer that would probably handle what most people would need. The third option would be to go ahead and buy a new computer that would support Windows 11. And if you've got a computer that is old enough that Windows 10 can't be upgraded to Windows 11, you probably got your money's worth anyway on that. A fourth option is to switch to another operating system, such as Linux or Chrome OS, both of which can be installed on most PCs that run Windows 10. And if you do just basic web surfing and email and things like that, or watch YouTube videos, that would be an option that would be fine. Both Chrome OS and Linux run those web-based programs with no problem. The only thing is that with those with Chrome OS or Linux, you won't be able to run your Windows programs. So if you have something specific, like I use Microsoft Office exclusively because I have a requirement to do so. I have programs that run on that, and I have certain features like mail merge that only run in Office. And I also have Quicken to keep track of my finances, and those are both Windows programs.
But they might run under Windows 10.
Yes, if you stay local. If you don't get on the internet, I wouldn't.
Oh, because you wouldn't recommend getting on the internet at
If
all.
you're going to stick
You're
with Windows
using-
10, I wouldn't recommend getting on the internet after October. Right. It just opens.
Now, what if you don't do your banking or anything online, just do email? Would you still?
You're still susceptible. Just being online is making you susceptible out there, because you don't know what holes in the operating system there are out there.
And of course, email, you're always vulnerable, because if you click on the wrong link,
Or nowadays, you don't even have to click on it. You
oh,
can
they
preview.
just,
Yeah, if you preview an email, sometimes they'll code it in such a way that it downloads, documents.
scam.
Yeah, so I still wouldn't risk it. One of the videos we're gonna watch, the gentleman doesn't seem like he thinks it's all that big of a deal.
Which one? One of the speaker, or one of the,
Yeah, his name is Ascleo.
oh, Athleo, yeah.
Right, let's see here. I forget which video we're gonna look at, but I don't share his
He was,
enthusiasm with that.
he was more, oh, it'll be all right.
Yeah, he was.
Relaxed.
Yeah, he was okay with that. Let's go back to here. Wrong one. Right.
I got a notice the other day when I turned the computer on in the morning, that Windows wanted to help me install 11 that day.
Mhm.
Okay.
That would be.
And if, as long as it's from the Windows updates and you're sure it is, then yeah.
How do you make
That
sure
was
it
my
is?
question, how do I find out if I'm sure it is?
I would close that window or get out of that window and go to settings and then.
Yeah, show where you can see.
If you
there's a
click on your
update.
start button and. Actually, if you right click on the start button, it's easier. You can just pick settings. And then go to update, Windows Update, and it'll tell you if Windows 11 is available for you,
Oh, thank you.
okay? Alright. So, let's see.
I just shut the whole thing down. So I don't-
Yeah, because you will get spam or scams.
It's possible that was a pop-up and not really from Microsoft, but
Saying, oh, there's a problem, we want to fix it. for you.
Yes.
Those are not.
yeah, so if you go to the settings and then Windows Updates, it'll do it itself instead of relying on that, what could be a pop-up. Okay. So that was switch to othering. And the fifth option is just to do nothing and ignore the the end of support. Again, I don't recommend that. It's just, to me, it's just too risky. Some of your alternatives are for different operating systems or in the Chrome OS. It's free, but again, you don't run Windows programs and it doesn't support Android apps like your phone would or a real Chromebook would. And it doesn't support Google Play.
And I think a lot of our members would being unfamiliar with
The way Chrome works.
the way Chrome works
It's
would
a
throw them
little
off.
bit, yeah, it's a little bit of a learning curve,
Yeah, there's a little learning curve.
right?
Remind us, is that the one that's tied in with Google?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So if you use Google a lot or you have an Android, you might already be familiar with the way Chrome would work.
Yes, yes. Chrome OS works similarly to your phone, except it's just on a bigger screen and it's a laptop rather than a phone.
and
So-
it depends on what everybody wants to do on it.
Exactly. This is all
If
dependent.
you never, ever do anything but email.
And banking.
Yeah,
Banking,
right.
if you do banking, then you're on the other
Yeah,
side.
yeah. Web-based programs, email, what else? We got the watching videos, streaming videos, no music production, no video production,
Gaming, No
gaming, some. It depends on what operating
With the
system you pick.
Sudoku, you might. be able to do.
Well,
You can do solitaire.
um, yeah, and again, some gaming like Linux does support some gaming. And if you have a powerful system or a decent system, let's say, and you install one of the Linux variations that supports Steam, you can run Steam games with no problem.
Steam's a
It's an
web-based
yeah,
site you
it-
go to
you
access.
buy games from the
online
online site, you log on, you download the games to your computer. But you need the Steam account to start them up, and then it runs usually locally on your machine, when maybe talks back to Steam every now and then to do updates.
You know, I looked at that one time and I thought, I'm going back to.
Oh, yeah?
Solitaire and Wordle.
Some of the games on Steam are very, very fun, and if you're into the,
Multiplayer
to
games.
the
they love-
multiplayer
they love
battles,
that.
this thing, there's tons and tons of war games where, and like you say, multiplayer games where people, have built entire worlds, out of, in the computer environment, and people just, go and explore or interact with each other and have wars, or
So you'd want a good Windows machine.
If you have-
Windows.
if you have a decent Windows 10 machine now, but it won't do an upgrade for whatever reason, you might be inclined to switch it to Linux. And it
Oh,
would
the
be-
Linux.
yeah, Chrome OS I wouldn't do. Linux, you have more of a chance of getting those games to work. Unless you want to, well, that's without having to buy another computer.
I suppose I would guess most of us aren't doing shoot 'em up games.
Probably not, but even shoot 'em up, I mean, I play,
Or,
yeah.
the building. Kids want.
Oh,
they do
Minecraft, yeah.
Start them young and
I don't
then.
know how Minecraft might work fine on a Linux system, I'm not sure.
And don't they do building? of
Yeah, right,
buildings
right,
and
right, building
towns and-
worlds, all that kind of stuff, but, yeah, so there's that kind of world, and there's lots of sports games. I mean, there's basketball, there's golf, and there's wrestling. They have wrestling games where, yeah, you compete against other players, or you can compete locally.
Golf.
Yeah,
Like you say golf.
oh, yeah, I play golf on that.
But
It's,
Mickey, doesn't it depend on your internet service?
No, not necessarily. If you're going to play against other people, it would depend on your internet service. If you're going to
Okay.
play locally, like the golf game that I play, I typically play that with my brother, and we just sit at the computer and we take turns, because the golf is a turn-based application or game.
Okay,
And
that's good.
yeah,
Good
once
to
the
know.
game loads, and most of the files are locally anyway, it just checks into Steam just to make sure you got a license and all that kind of stuff. It will, it's all local, so.
We can, if anybody wants to look at games on a meeting, we could
Mhm.
pick a phrase or whatever we have and show it. Something to do.
I was asking for my grandkids when they come
Oh,
over,
yeah, have something.
you know,
to
because I don't play games, so yeah. I was just
What
asking.
kind of games do they play?
Did they play
I-
any?
I don't- I don't know which ones they play.
Okay.
I have an old computer. It's a Windows 7 converted to 10. So I'm
Okay.
gonna have to get a Windows 11, and I have the old landline with a home telephone.
Oh,
And-
wow,
Yeah, I still have that,
DSL.
Yes.
but I'm locked into that for 65 a month.
You should look into,
Right, Steve.
what is it, T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T's wireless internet.
That's what Mickey's using now.
Yeah, back in, let's see here, where did we do that?
What's the other one? T-Mobile, Verizon.
Yeah, what's the other one, Mickey?
Here we go, 5G wireless home internet services,
Oh, there you go.
January
Okay,
2024.
That's a
T-Mobile,
category then.
AT&T, and Verizon, they both take you to the availability check, or all three, I'm sorry, these first three links, except for the video, take you to the home availability check. I pay AT&T $56 a month. And my downloads are usually around close to 200. My uploads are 60, 70, 80 megabytes.
If
Bits.
she's got, DSL.
Yeah,
I think Brightspeed has her phone number, wants to talk to her real bad.
Yeah, doesn't she get a lot of envelopes in the mail?
Every day they call.
Yeah, but,
I'm on the do not call list. My
so,
phone's
so
on
you
the
might wanna check those out, okay?
And they were fairly easy to set up,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, cause Mickey switched to that and.
Mhm.
Why don't you have fiber?
It's not available.
Okay, but if it is to her, wouldn't that be the way?
Depends
It
on the
depends
price.
That's it, depends on the price, right?
Price, okay.
Yep.
Well, when I
It's-
switched to
It's not
Brightspeed.
available to me.
Fiber,
Say that again, Celeste.
and it's.
It's not
50
available to me.
What is it, fiber?
Fiber optic,
Okay.
yeah, or whatever they
Well,
call it.
check these three, T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, because all it needs for you to be available is,
Oh,
you have to be close to a tower and relatively close. And it has to have room on the tower for more people. So if it does say it's available, I would jump on it, because a lot of times you'll check one day and it'll say it's available, and you check the next day and it says too late, you waited too long, it's not available anymore. So, you just put in your home address and it'll tell you if it's available or not.
Now, are you locked in a price or does it change?
It hasn't changed since I got it, I don't know how many years ago.
well, when did we put those up?
Oh, yeah, January of 2024, and I've already been on it for a while since when I made this. So, yeah, it hasn't, this is the up and coming way to go. Why does it keep saying move this window out?
Is there a lot of wiring that they have to come in and do?
There's absolutely no wiring.
No wiring, okay.
You just put the
Wow.
box in there, as long as it has a good signal to the cell phone tower.
You put the box in yourself?
Yeah, they send you the box and you.
They
put it-
send-
Sent it to you.
Some guy that's gonna be there between 9 and
Nope.
9.
Nope. They send you the box, you turn it on and you run through some setup steps, and then it's working.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Why does screen sharing? All right, let's go back here. And so that Chrome OS and Linux are the other options. Oops, here we go. Linux is also free, doesn't run Windows programs. There's some learning curve, although to me, it's a lot easier. It looks more like Windows than Chrome OS. The other option is a new PC. Okay, there's various links to different mini PCs that are relatively inexpensive. But if you're into the Windows environment like I am, a new PC might be the best way to go.
And Mickey did bring his mini, is that the right term?
Yes, mini.
To show us, and I was surprised at how inexpensive it was, and he'll tell you.
This is the one that I
There,
bought.
that's the one he ordered.
Right.
It's on Amazon as well as.
Yes, right, this is the
Phone
GMK Tech site. Oops. This particular one, let's see what they want.
And
Oh,
you can see it goes up, there's an option for terabyte even.
yes, bare bones, that's why. So 160 will give you the same one that I got. I got 16 gig of RAM and 512 gigabytes of hard drive. Well,
How much is it?
okay, 194, so you're talking about 160, 195, so $35 for another 512, which is okay.
Now that's bare bones without,
No, that's not bare bones. The bare bones is only 120,
oh,
so there's nothing on it. But this one gives you Windows 11 Pro, 16 gig of RAM and 512 gig of hard drive.
easier to bring to computer club.
Pardon me?
yeah,
It's
you
a lot
can
easier.
bring it
Yeah.
and,
To Mickey.
Yeah.
and say, I'm
You're
having a
having
problem,
trouble.
here it is.
Right.
Like a laptop would be.
Okay, so that's, all right.
And that, wait, I wanted to show the pic, slide down to show the, is it in two pieces?
No, they're just
Oh,
showing,
it's just standing up,
yeah, we're showing one stand.
so you can see all the connectors on the end,
Yeah.
because that's important that you have,
Whoops,
the right number of,
so, yeah,
ports.
they got the power button, two USB, ports in the front. And in
Wow.
fact, there's the two HDMI connections, Ethernet, and two more USBs.
It doesn't have a monitor, right?
No, this is just, this is like if you bought a desktop computer, your desktop computer does not come with a monitor.
So you have to add your own,
Well, if you have a
keyboard.
desktop already, you've got your monitor, you've got your
So you
keyboard.
like To bring it to computer club, you might have that problem.
Well, if you're gonna bring it here, we've got plenty
Plenty monitors too.
of monitors, keyboards and mics.
Everything's interchangeable.
Oh, yeah, everything is interchangeable.
Mickey, is that the one you have?
This is the one I have. Yes, I got the G3.
And then we could show Neil's,
The one that Neil bought,
when he saw we were discussing this, he wanted to really.
he bought the
So he's in
Ace Magic,
Pennsylvania.
which is,
It's Ace.
yeah, so he bought this one, has little lights on it. But his was, 16 gig. He said it cost him 150 last time. He bought it, which was a while ago. Okay, so it's his was, I think, the N97 processor, which is a slightly older, or N95, a slightly older version. But it came with 16 gig and 512. So yeah, nowadays I wouldn't get anything less than 16 gig of RAM and at least 512 storage.
And SSD is the fast.
That's the
drive.
solid state drive, right?
Yeah, that I suppose is pretty standard nowadays,
Yes,
because it used to be, ooh, that's a big deal if you have a solid state.
yes. So that's
It
what he
sounds like
bought.
the stereos that had solid state from 1960.
Is that the same kind of solid state?
Well, yeah, I mean, solid state is transistors, is rather than tubes.
Oh.
That's what they meant back then. All right.
These
So.
phrases come back to you. Wow.
When Neil was living locally and came to our meetings, I know at one time he did a program on the Mini when it was really unique. And he just loved that subject, you know.
Yeah, he would buy all kinds of mini computers, but a lot of them were Linux and a lot of them were Android or ARM based. And
Instead of
he only bought
Windows.
one that I remember they showed that actually had a working copy of Windows on it.
He did something on Ubuntu one time.
Yeah, well, that's Linux. Ubuntu is Linux, so yes, he was a
Worked
big.
in the jungle though, or something?
No. You may read about bypassing Windows 11 to install it, the requirements. There's certain workarounds that may work today. I wouldn't recommend that.
You're stepping back away from the Mini.
Yes, yeah, I'm back to the program, sorry. So I wouldn't recommend doing that because when Microsoft may stop supporting that if you put Windows 11 on an unsupported hardware. They may not give you updates in the future.
Yeah,
And-
working around a fix like that makes
Yeah.
me nervous that everything will blow up.
Well, not only that, but you're kind of bypassing the secure features that
Yeah,
Windows
that
11
it's
is.
writing to and
Right,
gonna release
So you're
things
doing it
to.
without a license, basically?
No, you have a
No,
license, but
you have a
but
license.
you're doing it without the blessing of Microsoft. You're
With
putting it, when Windows 11 requires the TPM so that it can do the encryption so that the operating system is more secure from hacks from other people or from different spyware. So if you bypass that, then you're vulnerable again. So, what's the point of doing Windows 11 when you basically gut the
Right.
security features that it's intended to have? So I would not recommend doing that.
But that was one of the choices on that
That
page
is,
of,
yeah, that's one of the choices is to bypass. You might see a lot of YouTube videos on that, so I wouldn't recommend it.
What if I went and just dumped Windows altogether and just went with Chrome?
A Chrome, yeah, you could, that is one of the options, okay? So one of the options is either Chrome OS Flex to use on your existing hardware or Linux to use on your existing hardware.
and there are step-by-step things to watch.
There's
to
plenty
do
of,
that.
yeah, there's plenty of videos out
If you wanna
there.
switch over.
That'll tell you how to do either one, right? But they're both free and they will both work, and Linux for sure, Chrome OS probably will work on your existing hardware.
Wasn't there a number of videos to use those two operating systems, like if you're
Comparing,
something with your Windows isn't right or this or that, just keep your laptop going by switching to this.
there's plenty of,
Yeah, that's a
videos. Right, right,
concept, that's a concept.
yes,
I never went there, but I'm gonna play it safe.
yeah, I mean, I've got a video here on Chrome, a couple of videos on Chrome OS Flex.
Flex,
Right,
that was what it was called.
yeah.
Yeah, revive your old laptop with
Right,
Chrome OS.
Right. Here's
et
how,
cetera.
here's how to do the Linux. You create a Google USB drive with Linux on it, and then you can boot it up on your existing computer and see how you like it. And if you think it'll work for you without any problems, then you can go ahead and install it from that same drive. So,
I just think most of us are probably not likely to. What about the one that says, should you stay with Windows 10, no one is forcing you to buy a new machine? Is that Leo or?
that is Leo. That's the one where I'm not, I put.
You don't
here-
agree?
Yeah, I even put here one tech writer's opinion. He's not as, in my opinion, he doesn't spread the alarm as much as I think he should, that you're gonna be vulnerable if you stay with Windows 10. But one of his other ones is this is the update to this video. So I don't know, I was gonna show well, we can show it still.
You know, I'm just gonna, while you find the one to show, I bought a Chromebook. And if you know, the Chromebook it's not Windows, but if you're sitting down to do email and, you know, the usual thing, Zoom, you wouldn't know you weren't on Windows. And I think Chromebook is very user-friendly and all that. And,
If you only want to do web stuff, Chromebook is fine,
yeah,
but it's a slimmed down version and it doesn't run Windows apps, it doesn't run
yeah. it can't run like
Linux
apps on
apps, it
Windows.
won't run, well, the Flex version that you put on your own PC won't run Android apps, whereas if you buy a Chromebook, the new version of Chromebooks will run Android apps off of the Play Store.
But I support or endorse a Chromebook in some cases. You can get them from what? Sometimes 100, 150
Yeah.
and on up.
Right, the problem is, to me anyway, if I was gonna go that route and I already had a computer or laptop or whatever, I would just install Linux on it and save the money.
And then I'm saying that probably a Chromebook is, let's say 150. You can
Yeah.
get that.
Oh, yeah, if you wanna stick with that, right,
One that Vicky
Yeah,
brought to show
yeah.
us, for 150, so.
right, it all depends on what you want to do. If you're like me and you like the Windows programs and you really need to stick with them, then getting a new computer
Yeah, you
would
won't
be,
have the Windows.
right, would be the best thing.
Windows then, the whole computer with the whole suite, Windows. No, I'm not talking, I'm sorry, the Microsoft, the documents, the
Office?
PowerPoint.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Office.
Office.
Okay, so right now, are you talking about, you get a new computer or you get one of these cheap mini PCs and you want to put Office back on it, right? It depends on what Office you have. If you have,
365.
you have
is-
2010,
2010.
okay, do you have the disk and the key?
No, I got it through a number at the college once upon a year.
Okay, well, there are sites out there where you can buy, even Groupon recently has been
No kidding.
having,
Yeah, they were what, $30, $40 for
depends on what version
a suite?
you want. 2019,
Yeah, I just want the word processor.
But you know, you
Oh.
can run Windows in the cloud now, Windows
Right, and
365.
I think
Okay.
you have a monthly or an annual.
well, you
charge?
don't want to do that, that's a
No.
subscription service.
Mhm.
Okay, here is, okay, we don't. here is Groupon right now, Office 2021, which includes the publisher. They're trying to do away with publisher. 2019 is $12. 2021 is
And
20
it's a
bucks.
one-time purchase.
Yeah,
Oh, Groupon
So,
deals.
yep. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I would do that. If you want it, matter of fact, that's what I put on this one here, is I put one of these Groupon deals.
Just before we put the Chromebook to bed,
Mhm.
I, like, my previous laptop went kafooey. And I, went to my Chromebook, which I hadn't been using much, I admit. And I could do pretty much everything I wanted to do on the Chromebook just fine, but I still wanted the Windows machine pack. But, and I bought it was a fantastic deal a couple years ago on a Chromebook. And I bought it for my brother and his wife
For your brother or from your brother?
for
Okay.
them. And, you know, I had to kind of caution them, a couple things are different, you know, no, you're asking to do something in Windows, that's not Windows, but right away they adjusted. And now they never go back to the
Oh,
bedroom where their old
desktop.
PC is.
Monster.
Yeah, monster. But they just whip out that laptop, set it in their lap and pay the bills and emails and everything.
Okay, one more thing, about Chrome OS that you need, or the Chromebook that you need to be aware of is the, life cycle.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, they do.
They have end of life on their hardware where they don't.
Yes.
They don't do updates anymore, and I think it's 10 years.
Less, I think it's.
Well, first it was less. I think they've gotten more generous with.
It might be 15 now, but I think it used to be 10. I
Yeah,
believe.
first it was barely 10.
Yeah,
So you do want to,
right.
I should say on the box if you're looking to buy one.
Right, but that's kind of what another reason why I would suggest, using your existing hardware and switching to Linux. If you're gonna go that route, try Linux first because it's free and the operating system will keep evolving. They'll keep doing updates. So I wouldn't go to Chrome OS right
Well,
off the
in
bat.
support of the Chromebook,
Mhm.
if it says, oh, this is a 10-year
Mhm.
life cycle, so
Right.
to speak. $100 computer in 10 years.
True.
I'm
Well,
fine with
true.
that.
That is true.
It's less than a penny a day, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine with it.
No, okay, all right.
There'll be something new with bells and whistles.
As long as you guys are
out
aware
by
of
then.
everything that.
We'll just be typing on the desktop and
Right.
viewing in glasses.
All right, so that's one option, all right. So just to. I don't know if I should.
Why don't you pick one out
We
that
were
talks
talking,
about the
oh
issues?
shoot. One I wanted to talk about, oh geez, all over the place. One I wanted to talk about, it was seeing if you have the TPM, but you're talking about, or you were kind of poo-pooing that, saying people won't know what to do with it, but.
Yeah, I think most of us won't, but point out, see
Okay.
the articles on
Yeah,
TPM,
yeah. Upgrading
that's
your
that
existing-
setting you need to have
Right.
to upgrade.
it's only a 4-minute video.
Okay.
Let's watch this just to make sure.
I like the shorter,
Make your browser fast.
don't make it too fast.
No, this is,
Oh, that's not the one you thought.
no, this is an ad.
Oh,
If you don't have a TPM, you might still have a TPM.
oh, that
Don,
confuses, that's
so
nice.
that's the one, were you able to hear that?
Yeah.
Barely.
Home
Barely?
Depot.
No, how about, so that you home guy?
Yeah, I could hear it. I could hear it.
All right.
I got earbuds in.
Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for AskLeo.com. This should be a quickie. One of the common complaints I get about Windows 11 updates from Windows 10 goes along these lines. I have a relatively new powerful machine, but Microsoft tells me it's not compatible with Windows 11. Well, particularly if you have a newer machine, say within the last 5 years or so, maybe even somewhat older, it's very possible your machine does indeed include a TPM, the Trusted Platform Module, but it's just not enabled. It's worth a check. Now, unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly how to check. The ability to turn the TPM on and off is a UEFI setting. It's part of the formerly known as BIOS settings that are in place before you even boot your machine. Now, pictured here is an example. This is actually from my primary desktop machine and shows you that, yeah, there's an option buried here in the advanced settings that allow you to turn on the TPM on this desktop. It came disabled. And years ago, I mean, literally years ago, when I first installed Windows 11, I had to turn it on. Once I did, not a problem. Windows 11 just installed just fine. So that's the thing I want you to do. If you find yourself in a situation where your computer reports as being unable to update to Windows 11 because of a missing TPM, and you want to upgrade to Windows 11, then have a check in your UEFI settings. Make sure that it's there, make sure that it's turned on, make sure that it's using version 2.0, which is the Windows 11 required version. I have seen reports of some UEFI settings actually allow you to choose which version of the TPM specification that you would be running. Once you reboot into Windows, well, we can just run tpm.msc, and this will tell you that you do indeed have a TPM. In fact, it's a little hard to see here because of the way the window laid out by default, but if we scroll over, you can see that it even specifies specification version 2.0, which is the TPM interface specification that you want. Once you've got this enabled, you should be able to install Windows 11, assuming, of course, it meets all of the other requirements. But the TPM thing does seem to be one of the big ones, and it might very well be simply because it's not enabled. So if your machine reports as being unable to run Windows 11 due to not having a TPM, don't give up. Double check the UEFI settings, and you might be surprised to find that it's been hiding there all along. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/179491. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is AskLeo.com.
Well, that got a little,
Obscure.
Okay. All right, well,
oh, made fine sense to Mickey.
English as a foreign language?
yeah, okay,
You know, I want to comment that Ask Leo has been around for how many years?
yes.
He used to, Edie, anybody, you remember Edie?
I do.
She loved Ask Leo, like, how did we listen to him back then?
Floppy disk.
It was before podcasts, by that name anyway.
Well, okay, anyway,
And she met him at a computer show in
CMS
Las
round.
Vegas.
right,
And he was sitting at the lunch table, big round lunch table. She was so thrilled to I bet, you know. And he's still doing computers.
oh, yeah. All right, here's another one I want to show. This is his update on,
I'm done spending an obscene amount of money on takeout every week.
The takeout
all right, this is stupid,
commercial.
yeah.
What if I told you that as of October 14th, 2025, more than half of all PC users are scheduled to fall off the edge of a digital cliff, and that many of them don't even know it yet? Hey, I'm Dave. Welcome to my shop. Microsoft is pulling the plug on Windows 10 support, and that means that your PC, your software, and maybe even your livelihood could be standing on increasingly shaky ground if you don't take action now. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, what? Didn't we just get Windows 10? And in a relative sense, yeah, it does feel somewhat recent, especially if you're one of the folks like me who skipped the Windows 8 detour entirely. But believe it or not, Windows 10 turns 10 years old next year. And when that milestone hits, Microsoft will be saying their final goodbyes. Now let's take a moment and talk about why that is. Why would Microsoft, a company known for dragging along backwards compatibility longer than anybody else in the industry, suddenly say enough and kick Windows 10 to the curb? The answer, as with many things in tech, comes down to a cocktail of progress, profit, and pain avoidance. Windows 10, as stable and familiar as it may feel to some, was never meant to last forever. Internally, Microsoft operates on what they call the Modern Lifecycle Policy. That's a fancy way of saying that they like to give each major OS version a solid decade or so in the spotlight before moving on. Windows XP got the better part of 13 years, and even Windows 7 got a hero's farewell. But Windows 10, well, its time is just about up. Now, Windows 11 isn't just a prettier start menu and some rounded corners. It's actually a security-first operating system in many senses. It demands TPM 2.0, which for most people might sound like a rejected name from a Terminator sequel, but as we know, what it really is a hardware-level vault for your encryption keys and digital identity. In a world where ransomware gangs operate like corporations and your GPU driver might as well be a vector for attack as well, that hardware-based security becomes non-negotiable for Microsoft. Conversely, Windows 10 simply wasn't built with that kind of thing in mind. And it's patchable and updatable, yes, but eventually patching becomes like duct tape, and duct taping becomes expensive. So come October 2025, what happens if you just don't upgrade? Well, I'll tell you what happens. You're on your own. Because let's be crystal clear about this. After that date, Microsoft will no longer provide security updates, bug fixes, or even tech support for Windows 10. It won't suddenly stop working, but the ice under your feet will start to crack, and eventually something's going to fall through. You might think, well, I've got antivirus, I'm pretty careful, I don't go to weird sites, and that's great, but the bad guys, they're not playing fair. Once security updates stop, every flaw that's discovered is an open door with nobody guarding it. Think of it like driving a car that still runs fine, but you've been told the brakes may just stop working at any time, and there is no fix available. WannaCry was a global ransomware outbreak that slammed unpatched systems running older versions of Windows, machines that hadn't seen a security update in years. And you can bet that attackers have already circled October 25 on their calendars. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, can't I just pay Microsoft to keep the security updates coming a little longer? And yes, sort of. Microsoft has announced something called the Extended Security Updates Program, or ESU for short. I think for home users, they're saying it'll cost you $30 for the first year. That's not too bad. I argue that's cheaper than a pizza if you live on the West Coast, but it's also not meant to be a permanent solution. And it's probably what I would do if I had a reason to stick on Windows 10. Because like a Band-Aid, Windows 10 is stuck on you and you are stuck on it. But Band-Aids are not a cure, and the price goes up each year and support only extends for 3 additional years. So if you're planning to run Windows 10 into the 2030s, this isn't your parachute. So what are your options? Well, first and most obviously, if your machine supports it, upgrading to Windows 11 is the path of least resistance. And they're greasing that path really well. And yes, I know it's not a one-click decision. Windows 11 has hardware requirements that left a lot of people scratching their heads, or worse, feeling left behind. It wants secure boot, it wants TPM 2.0, it wants a processor that isn't from the Napoleonic era. But if your machine qualifies, the upgrade is free, and the peace of mind it brings with ongoing support is probably worth its weight in silicon. Now, if your PC doesn't support Windows 11, you've got 2 options. Upgrade the hardware somehow, or look at alternatives. And now I don't mean going Amish and switching to pen and paper. I mean Linux. And if you're a long-time Windows user, the idea of switching to Linux might conjure up ideas of obscure terminal commands and stacks of floppies and kernel panics. After all, I first ran Linux in college, and I graduated in '93, so that was some old-school Linux. But here's the truth today. Linux in 2025 is not your father's command line dungeon. Distributions like Ubuntu, Mint, and Zorin are designed with former Windows users in mind. They come with full GUI environments, Office apps of some kind, app stores, and they don't suffer from forced updates or telemetry out the wazoo. It's not for everybody, especially if you rely on software like Adobe products or proprietary engineering or editing tools or something like that. But for a lot of day-to-day users, it's browsing, email, light productivity, it's more than enough. Now, you might find it odd to have a Windows guy dismiss the issue with, well, go run Linux, but that's not my advice for everybody. It's just for the folks who can't or won't let go of their older hardware and who want a quasi-supported, safe solution where they're still going to be able to get security updates. My base advice for everybody else is still just to upgrade to Windows 11. Then, of course, there's the other plan, do nothing. You stick with Windows 10, you throw caution to the wind and figure, well, hey, it's worked fine so far, so what the heck. And hey, it might continue to do so for a while. But as the months roll on and the Patch Tuesday updates stop arriving, you'll find yourself slowly sliding out of the ecosystem. New apps will start to throw errors, drivers won't be available for certain things, browsers will warn you that your system is now unsupported, and one day you'll go to install something, maybe a new printer, maybe a game you bought on Steam, and it just won't work. And that's when you realize that the digital world has moved on and you didn't. For some, that'll mean scheduling a Saturday to back up their files and click the upgrade button. For others, it's a harder conversation. Do I really need a new PC? And unfortunately, if you're on the older hardware that doesn't support Windows 11, that may be where your road leads. So you'll need to ask yourself, is it worth sinking more time and money into a dying platform, or is it finally time to treat yourself to a machine that was built for the present day? Now, there's one last group I want to talk about, and that's the rebels. The people who say, I don't care if it's unsupported. I'll run Windows 10 until the proton decay rips the capacitors apart at their most fundamental level of existence. And you know what? I get it. There's a certain defiant charm to squeezing every last cycle out of a machine that you know inside and out. I mean, I spend way too much of my own time fighting with 211 BSD Unix on a PDP-11. But if you do go down that path, do it with your eyes open. Keep it offline, use it for legacy tasks or air-gapped development or as a retro gaming box. But don't run your banking app or store your tax records on a machine that hasn't seen a security update since the 2020s. That's just asking for trouble. Now, as for whether Microsoft might change their mind at the last minute, don't count on it. Their messaging has been pretty firm, and they've already built out the Windows 11 roadmap with AI integration, Copilot, and tighter ties to their Azure cloud offerings. This isn't just a marketing nudge, it's a phase shift. They're laying the foundation for the next decade of Windows, and Windows 10 simply doesn't fit their architecture anymore. So where does that leave us? Well, in many ways, this moment feels a lot like the tail end of Windows 7, a familiar, beloved OS being nudged out of the nest, not because it's broken, but because the world has changed and moved on. Threats have changed, expectations have changed, and frankly, Microsoft's business model has changed. You've got until October to decide. My advice, whatever you choose to do, don't wait until October 13th, 2025 to figure it out, because by then the cliff edge will be awfully close. If you found today's little take on Windows to be any combination of informative or entertaining, please remember that I'm mostly in this.
Well, it is something to, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
be thinking about.
he's right. You don't want to be on an unsupported operating system, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I said, these are all posted on our website, so you can go back and watch your,
Right. Or
watch for yourself.
As you can see, there's tons more that we aren't showing. We just don't have time. Let's see here. Here's one I want to show.
Have you seen this guy? You know, the one that keeps telling us to
Stop running.
Oh, that was a good commercial. Don't go too fast.
I won't.
You guys today we're taking a look at possibly the perfect alternative for Windows 10 users. It's called Anduin OS. Anduin OS is a custom Ubuntu-based Linux distribution that aims to facilitate developers that are transitioning from Windows to Linux by mainstreaming familiar operations and habits and workflows. So Anduin is definitely trying to do that. They also go through a bunch of other information here. Why choose Anduin? Well, it's ready to use. It's friendly interface. It also has root and privacy. So privacy is no longer optional. It's essential. And that's why Anduin OS has been designed to gather nothing from you and it won't track you. It's also open source and it's containerized. So the graphic applications are installed via the Flatpak and keep themselves separate from the base system. They also claim it's an ecological perfection. Now, you can choose what Anduin operating system version you want to use. So there's a couple of versions here. There's the LTS version and the standard version. I'll go ahead and install the LTS version. So this includes support till April 2029. It also has GNOME 46, Ubuntu 24.4 packages, Linux kernel 6.11, released on the 6th of the 1st, 2025. The latest version is 1.1.4 and it's recommended for most users. So download the version you want. There's plenty of different versions here. My only gripe was it took quite a while to download. The ISO Direct, it took quite a while, over an hour, and you might want to choose to use the torrented version. So let's take a look at the actual operating system itself now it's installed. So you can see we've got rounded corners, a nice dark theme going on here. Of course, this all can be changed, and you can see we've got a nice GUI interface to navigate as well. So it should be quite easy for Windows 10 users to transition over to this version of Linux. So again, we've also got multitasking here. You can play around with all of these settings. You can mess around with the appearance as well. So you've got all your options that you would normally have with an operating system, default mode and also dark mode. And you can add in your own pictures for backgrounds if you want to. There's plenty of options available here. So Ubuntu desktop, as you can see, I've got this all left as default. There's a couple of areas right here for your apps. And you can see the apps are all installed here. There's an app store as well. You will have to download and install that on the system. And again, there's also the search feature right here, and you can toggle some of this stuff on, like weather and things like that, to try and make it look like, say, Windows 11 or Windows 10. They're trying to give it that feel so you don't feel left out when you've transitioned over. You can see you've got a little widget here which you can customize to your location, and this will give you a weather on the bottom left hand corner. Here's your icons, your files right here. So these will be where all your files will be stored, and you can see we've got recent, and you've also got starred, also home, documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos, and trash right there. And we also have our console right here. And again, you can make these windows bigger if you want to. I'm just flying through here, just showing you. I do like the overall look and feel of this operating system. Here is your home section right here. And this will just take you straight back to this area right here. So overall, a really nice looking operating system. Down the bottom right hand corner, you've got your access to your calendar and your notifications right here. You can toggle on do not disturb as well. This is completely open source. There's no real telemetry or any sort of data harvesting collection on this particular distro. So if you wanted to download and use this and have a bit more privacy, then something like this might be ideal. So again, if you want to download and install other applications and things like that, you can do. You can just browse and explore all of the options available. There's tons of them here. And again, it's not the same as Windows. We already know that. It's a Linux operating system. I'm on a virtual machine here, so it's taking a bit of time to load in. Otherwise, this will be really snappy. Now, for people that are using Windows 10 and they have an old computer and it's not compatible with Windows 11, you're not going to have many options available to you. Like I've covered in previous videos, you can either extend the support by paying $30 for updates, or you can start to transition over to another operating system like, say, Linux. Now, you can choose many different flavors. There's quite a few different distros to choose, and you can choose which one suits your needs. Zorin OS is a really good option for a lot of people. Linux Mint is another good option. This looks pretty nice too. And again, it's all going to come down to personal preference. You can install these on a virtual machine and get used to them and see how they are and see whether it's something that you like. And if it is, then you can go ahead and install it onto your main system. You can see we've got all of our processes, our resources right here, a really nice looking panel right here for this. And also you've got your file system for your operating system. You can see it's on a virtual machine here. So it's very Windows-like, but it is actually Linux. So who is it going to be for, really? Well, if you're one of these people that just watch YouTube, do some emails, and maybe surf the web, and do some basic tasks, then Linux is going to be ideal for you. It's just the fact that a lot of people are going to have to get used to a completely different operating system. So you can see we do have the weather here as well. So it's got quite a few nice, useful little gadgets that is very Windows-like. But again, this is a
Monday.
We belong to the APCUG group, and they offer community-led class on using Linux once a month. And I was, to be honest, I just skipped that. I mean, I don't consider it. But there is that much interest out there that they have people who want to see that and learn more about it.
I have that PC just sitting there, any maybe activity where you convert it to Linux for everybody to see what happens.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Okay, it's a sacrificial. It's not getting any.
It's no secret that Chromebooks are popular.
All right, here's a video about the Chromebook.
For their simplicity and affordability. But what are their hidden limitations? If you're looking to buy one, this video will give you the straight facts on 5 things that Chromebooks just can't do. Let's start with the most basic, and that is software installation. Now, if you're new to the Chrome world, a Chromebook is an amazing device, but it doesn't run Windows and it doesn't run Mac OS. It runs Chrome OS, which is a completely different operating system that you may be used to using. It means that you can't install Adobe Photoshop, you can't install Microsoft Outlook, you just basically get a Chrome browser. And although you can install some web apps that will run and you can use remote desktop to connect to another machine that may be running other apps, locally on the machine, you're stuck to Chrome, which means you're pretty much stuck with using online applications, cloud or browser-based applications. Instead of using Adobe Photoshop, you might need to use Canva. Instead of using MYOB accounting software on the desktop, if it still exists on the desktop, you might have to use Xero.com online in the browser. Certain software that needs to be installed on an operating system like Mac or Windows is just not available on Chrome. Now, the impact here is that you're going to miss out on some of those apps potentially, but either you may be able to find workarounds, or you might be able to use, in some instances, a different computer if you absolutely have to, or in the third case, which many businesses do, if you have a fleet of machines and every now and again someone needs to do just one thing on a Windows machine, people will often set up a remote desktop application server and you can dial in from a Chromebox or Chromebook anywhere and access that app from on the go. As much as possible, as we transition into a fully cloud operating system and a fully cloud way of doing business where all of our apps are living in the browser, you, for the most part, should be able to get away with using a Chrome device. Or if you can't find the app to work online, sometimes you'll be able to find an app in the Google Play Store, which the Chrome device does support. And that means if you can install an application on the Google Play Store as an Android app, well, you might be able to get done what you need to get done. It's not an amazing experience, but it can help in times when you're stuck. If you're super nerdy, you can also install a Linux environment, which gives you pretty much full control to install whatever apps you like, but it does require some command line experience and getting your hands a little bit dirtier in the back end of a machine, which for most business owners is not really the kind of thing they want to do. Next up, let's talk about offline. And this is one of the key criticisms of Chrome machines. Now, yes, you can get plenty done on a Chrome machine. You get the Chrome browser, you can access things online. You can also work with files. If you plug in a USB stick, you'll be able to open PDFs and media files, and you'll be able to do everything you would normally do. Listen to music via Bluetooth if you want, connect to Wi-Fi, connect to Ethernet. All of those options are available on a Chromebook. However, considering that most of your work is probably going to be done in the browser these days, you are heavily reliant on an internet connection for most tasks when it comes with a Chromebook. Now, that means that without an internet connection, you're going to be fairly limited in what you can get done. It means that if you happen to be offline, maybe on a flight or in an area or a cafe where you just can't connect to the internet, well, you're going to potentially be stuck, unable to edit that social media post in Canva or unable to reconcile those accounts in Xero. Now, there are some options that are available to you. If you're using Gmail for your email, which I assume you would be if you're considering Chrome, you can switch on offline mode, which gives you access to the last 90 days of email offline. You can read, respond, you can reply, you can compose new emails, and that gives you the option to stay connected, and as soon as you connect back to the internet, all your emails are sent and you're resynchronized again. Google Drive also has the ability to work offline across most of its document applications. So if you want to work with a Google Doc or a spreadsheet or a presentation, you can work with those offline, and any changes you make will just be synchronized once you connect again. You can even work with Microsoft documents stored in your Google Drive. So if you have a Word document or an Excel document, you may not have every single feature that you're used to, but you can at least do basic editing offline even when you don't have access to the internet. Personally, I've found that this isn't too much of a hindrance. I'm seldom disconnected from the internet these days, considering Starlink is just about everywhere in the world now, and most planes are now starting to get pretty reasonable internet online as well. There's not many places where I'm not connected. When I'm sitting in a cafe, I've got my phone there that I can tether to, which makes things easy as well. And, I understand that in some cases it's just not going to work for you to not be able to do your work online all the time. That's understandable. But let's move on to number 3. Let's talk about hardware. Now, Chromebooks may struggle to connect to certain printers, scanners, or other external peripherals. For the most part, most of these applications and most of these devices are moving to open protocols and open drivers, meaning that if you've got a network printer, you can probably connect to it okay. But if you're doing scanning or maybe another external peripheral like a specialized label printer, and it requires a particular kind of software to be installed to operate that machine, well, that's where you may run into issues, because most of those softwares are designed for either Apple OS or they're designed for Windows and you're not going to be able to install them on a Chrome device. Maybe a high-end printer like a plotter that requires design CAD programs to operate it just probably isn't going to work. So you want to check your compatibility very carefully. Personally, I do a lot of audio visual work, and because I'm live streaming and I have a very graphic intensive program to run my live streams in 4K quality, well, for me, I need to use an Apple computer to do that because not all of my peripherals work with Chrome, and even the application that allows me to set up different scenes on my computer and switch between them as I'm live just doesn't work on a Chrome device. I love using Chrome and it's my preferred operating system, but when I'm producing on the road, I unfortunately have to take a MacBook because it's the only machine that will let me do the creative work that I need to do. The bottom line here is that some specialized use cases are just not going to be workable with Chrome. It doesn't mean that your team might not be able to use Chrome. It doesn't mean it might not be a great machine for someone who's working primarily online and in the cloud, but it does mean that there are some challenges. Now, there are some workarounds. You can use cloud-based printing solutions if it's a printer that doesn't work. Maybe you've got another computer in the office that runs Windows or Mac and they can share the printer to your Chrome device. That's a little bit of a workaround, but for some people that will work. Check the compatibility before purchasing, or you can potentially add peripherals like maybe a USB dongle that will help get things working for you. Number 4 is gaming, and Chrome are not really that great when it comes to gaming, especially if anything is high-end graphic intensive. Chrome devices are known to have pretty basic graphics hardware because they're not really designed for games. You can stream to them if you wish, but honestly, most of the gaming world in terms of like games that you install on your computer and play are unavailable to Chrome. If you're working on the web and you're playing a purely browser-based online game, as long as you've got enough RAM in your Chromebook, it's probably going to run okay. Of course, you need a decent internet connection, but that's no different to a Windows or a Mac machine. If you're streaming, Google did previously have their application called Stadia, which was unfortunately shut down and now no longer available. But NVIDIA does have GeForce Now, which is available, and there are also Android apps on the Play Store that can be installed on Chrome devices as well. But don't let that fool you. Chrome devices are not known to have a great experience with gaming. I would say at best, it's going to entertain the most casual gamer, or if you're well set up for streaming and you're happy to deal with the additional overhead of dealing with and managing that, including getting your network perfect so the latency is low enough to get game streaming working, well, your Chrome device might be okay. But personally, I would choose to game on a different device that's more dedicated for it and not try and have a fish climb a tree. Number 5 is limited customization, and Chromebooks really offer fewer options for customizing hardware and for upgrading the machines yourself. Most Chrome devices are in the laptop format, that's Chromebooks. You can buy Chrome boxes, and Chrome boxes typically do allow you to update either the hard drive size, if it's got internal memory, or a dedicated hard drive, and they do tend to allow you to upgrade the RAM, so you can add more memory to it as well. But in most of the laptops, many of them these days are now just hardwired and hard soldered in to the actual circuitry. It means that you are not user serviceable in RAM. You can't update to additional RAM on the machine, which kind of sucks. It means that if you want to do something resource intensive like video editing, 3D rendering, that's just not available at all because you can't upgrade the graphics card, and the RAM in some cases is not upgradable at all. If you are a power user, if you're an executive or you're someone who does a lot of multitasking and you've got a lot of tabs open at the same time, RAM can run out pretty quickly on a Chrome device, even though they are much more efficient than using a Windows or a Mac device. And so my recommendation would be, if you can, to specify more RAM on the machines that you purchase if you're purchasing a Chrome machine. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. Now, consider cloud-based solutions for as many of the applications that you're working with as possible, because web tools are going to use less resources on your local machine. Or opt for a different device potentially if you absolutely must do a task and it's a RAM hog and it's just not going to work on your local machine. You can, of course, upgrade any of the RAM, and my recommendation, if you're going for a machine that's going to sit on your desk for the next 3 to 5 years, go ahead and crack open the box and put some more RAM in. Find a model that is allowing you to upgrade the RAM yourself, and you will be sweet. If you're finding that any of these issues are a showstopper for your business, or you would like some support implementing any of these into your business, well, we have a technical concierge service that gives you unlimited access to our expert technical team. They can help you navigate through this and assist you with any other technical.
I wanted to say that
Here.
on the Chromebook, like when you power it off
Mhm.
and then power it on, it gives you a fresh version of your,
Yeah.
Operating system.
yeah, your operating system set up for you, the way it is.
Which protects you.
Yeah, and then.
If
gives you
there's an
the-
update available to do
If
it.
there's an update available,
Right,
and then,
right.
and if something goes wrong while you're using it,
As far as I know, yes,
I think then power it off, power it on, you get a new one, a fresh one.
I believe that's true.
So, I always thought that was, but you gotta remember not to just shut down to power off when you shut down your computer at least once a week or two.
Right.
Any
Alrighty,
questions?
yeah, no, not yet, okay. All right, let's look about buying a new computer. Come on, there we go.
Introducing speech.
At least add.
N150 mini PC. That would be a bare minimum for me, is an N150. They're quite capable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort this by price. Some way. Sort by price, low to high. Now, of course, Amazon, like Google search results, they want to give you sponsored stuff first. I want to show you how crazy this whole marketplace has become. I didn't know these results were going to come up. So these numbers are even lower than what I was thinking I was going to show you.
Now
So this Camrui E1 is an N150, which is Windows 11 compatible with 8 gigs of RAM. Now, granted, the storage is a bit small, but you can always add more storage, swap the storage out, or just plug in an external USB drive for all the storage in the world you want. With Wi-Fi, with Bluetooth, 4K video support. It shows it's $139, and there's a $15 off coupon, bringing that price down to what, $125? $124.95? It's cheaper than the operating system all by itself. So for $125, you're getting a brand new computer under warranty, faster by multiples of whatever you're using now. No issues of legacy mode versus UEFI. You have a full warranty, a brand new case, a brand new power supply, a brand new motherboard, a brand new CPU, brand new RAM, brand new storage, brand new Wi-Fi, shipped for free to your door typically within about 2 days. Actually, this one says I could have it tomorrow. This is on a spring deal here. This is the G3. Again, it's an N150, my bare minimum, $138.99. There's an additional $10 coupon, bringing that to $130. Keep scrolling because the deals keep going on. Trying to get it down in the 120s is possible if you wait for the deal. You know, maybe a $10 difference if you don't want to wait. Here's a Paladin N150, 8 gigs, 256 gig storage, Wi-Fi 5. It's got Bluetooth. It's got USB 3.2. It's $125 after the $10 coupon. And you can have it Tuesday, 2 days. Keep scrolling. You want to spend a little bit more, you can double that storage, you can double that RAM, and maybe spend $160 instead of $125. Now, for me to go fill up the gas tank in my car, how much do you think that cost me? And how long will that gas in that tank last? If I buy one of these, how long do you think it's going to last me by comparison? Which one's the better investment? It kind of depends. What do you need it for? You might need the car to go to work so you can earn the money to buy the computer, but you might need the computer to work remotely so you don't have to use the car. So how much value you put into that really depends on what you're using it for. But there's never been more computer for less money than I'm seeing right now, and I'm blown away by it. I am absolutely blown away where it costs me more. Well, it cost me about half the amount of money if I were to take, remember we did those computer giveaways? If I were to take this computer and mail it to somebody in the United States, that's $50, and it'll take upwards of a week to get to you if you're on the other opposite coast. Or you can buy it brand new with a full 30-day return guarantee from Amazon, free return within 30 days for any reason, under warranty, and have it at your door in 24 to 48 hours. Or twice the cost of me shipping something to you with no warranty, no ability really to return it. At least somebody's going to have to pay for the return. The only one making money there is the shipper. I got to pay for a box. I got to pay for packing material. I got to get a tracking number. It's way too much work compared to just spend $100 or $125 on Amazon. Have it faster, have it under warranty, and get rid of that old thing. Just dump it. Whatever you paid for it, whenever you bought it, it owes you nothing more. Let it rest. So that's my advice. Because even if you can go from legacy mode to UEFI, which maybe you can, and even if your board does support Secure Boot, I promise you, you're going to be back with another problem within a matter of months. And then you're going to be back with another problem after that in fewer months. And it's just going to start compressing down where it's nothing but problems. Eventually, the machine won't be usable, and you'll be forced to have to replace it. I'm advising you, replace it now before you have to. That way you can shop around for the best price. It's less stressful. Get rid of the old thing. It's given you so much in return for whatever you paid for it. Reward it now and retire it.
Take a rest.
Sounds like he's talking.
He's a good salesman.
You now have a reason.
I know somebody who set up a Plex server,
Yeah,
which is software that
streaming media,
runs your
right.
media, your
Mhm.
music, your movies that you
Mhm.
own
Mhm.
and have installed, and then this Plex software is an
Allow-
app on your TV, or
Yeah,
you
allow
can
you to access it and
it.
stream it to your
And
device.
he wanted it on a mini
Mhm.
and got the most powerful one he wanted, add on hard drive, of
Right,
course.
right.
And he's delighted
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that setup, and he definitely wanted it on this little mini computer, and he made it work.
Oh,
The only trouble is if you're a kind of a power user like that,
It
like
depends.
Mickey can say, every couple of months they come out with the next version, the newer, the faster, the bigger.
Right, and you
And then
can
the
get,
prices go
you
up
can
and
get
down.
these minis that have more powerful equipment in them. But it depends on, again, what you're doing, and there gets to be a point where, okay, I'm spending $300 on a mini that's quite powerful. Why don't I just go and get a desktop where I can get the same power and in the future upgrade bits and bytes and pieces and parts.
Right, because this doesn't upgrade as well.
Yeah, well, this doesn't upgrade pretty much at all.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on what you've got. What you can update or upgrade. He didn't show on here of the pieces that I showed, but if you watch his full video, he'll take the cover off of his mini and show you how the SSD can be replaced. Sometimes, depending on which brand you buy, the RAM can be replaced. But again, these particular N150s or N90s series, the maximum RAM they can handle is 16 gig. So if you get the 16 gig version, you're done. Which is fine. And if you do get one of these minis, get it with what you want, with the goal in mind that you're not going to upgrade it because it's probably not going to be efficient or cost effective for you to upgrade it. So buy it the way you want it. Do we want to see, do you have any other questions or anything like that? It's getting to be 11:30 soon.
Is Royal Supply still open for
Oh,
computers?
yes, Royal Business is still in business.
Okay. Okay, I'll go to him and get one.
Imagine he.
That might be, but you might not get a great deal with him.
You might call
Not anymore, anyway.
Yeah, so
just have him install what you need.
Yeah, I mean, he might, I'm assuming you're talking about a mini. If you're gonna get a mini, you might just buy one from Amazon or whatever. If you're going to upgrade your own computer, you know, replace the motherboard and CPU and RAM to accommodate Windows 11.
But it'll cost
Then-
more than,
Yeah, it might, but if you want the power, that would be the way to go. And yeah, I would go to Glenn and ask him to do that.
I would have to get a new desktop. Mine is a 7 that was converted to 10.
Okay,
So I would have to have a desktop.
you would like the desktop? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
but the
Okay.
mini is a desktop.
Well, yes, the mini is the
It
desktop.
just doesn't have like
but-
if you
but
want a
it-
CD drive.
Right, it doesn't
you
have
to
a
be able to Show
powerful,
them your external.
it doesn't have a powerful graphics card. Well, they saw what he's showing. Let's see, I don't want to show.
Well, you can show the box.
Yeah, but I have to show it to the people at home. Let me see.
Oh.
here.
so you would have to buy the screen? Where does that
No,
box?
I mean, if you've got a desktop now, you
Yeah.
already have a keyboard, a mouse, and
Yeah.
a monitor, right?
Just plug
Yeah.
it into the new
So
thing.
this would replace the desktop itself. All right, I'm gonna have to stop sharing. I was gonna show Linux, but hang on. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing there. We're back to here. Let me show. Well, actually, you know what? We got the camera. Well, okay, here is
Show and tell.
the mini PC.
Okay,
That's it. Here is my hand and here's the PC. And,
Okay.
I've got a USB hub plugged in, so I can get multiple things here, although I could use the ports on there. I've got a keyboard and a mouse plugged into the Octopus. I've got my HDMI cable and I've got the power cable. In the front, I don't have anything connected, but it has 2 USB ports. Okay. Got the Ethernet port if I want to hardwire it. And it's got another HDMI connector if I want dual monitors. So this guy has everything that I needed for this. Let's see if I can do this.
And you can use all these peripherals off your current.
Right, here is the inside. I just snapped off the cover. And let's see here, there is RAM over here, there's the SSD there. And there's room for another SSD in there. But, you know, it's got 512 in there and I'm nowhere near getting that full. So that's the mini, at least this version of the mini, and most of them are around the same size. Okay, so again, here's my hand and here's the mini. So, but this replaces the desktop. Okay.
so where's the screen at? I have an all-in-one computer.
Oh, if you've got it all in one, then that is typically not upgradable. You would have to use, see my screen here is I'm using the monitor here.
So you might have to buy a monitor. in that
Yeah,
case.
external monitors are cheap.
About
Um,
70, 50.
It depends. I mean, we can look online for one if you really want to, but they're relatively cheap.
Okay,
Yeah.
And the keyboard would that be on the all-in-one?
A keyboard and mice. Yeah, I mean, the keyboard she probably has
yeah, I have a keyboard and a mouse.
and a mouse. Okay, although with
And if you want the CD, you have you buy an external. one.
right, an external CD, that'll cost you around 20 or so. There's an external CD drive, DVD drive.
Yeah, see, mine is built in.
Right, an all-in-one typically is just what you got is what you get. It's not typically upgradable.
Okay,
And it's a touch screen, so you won't get that, but still, you've got the keyboard and mouse. You would just need to get an external CD drive and an external monitor, and you'd be done.
okay.
If you wanted to go that route, because yeah, an all-in-one, nobody is going to want to upgrade that for you. All right,
It was nice while it lasted.
yeah, and like Carrie said, you know, it's given you its money's worth. All right.
Yeah, when you
let's-
think about
Right,
what, because my first computer cost what? 2,500
oh,
or
it's terrible,
something.
it's terrible, right.
For one, was it one, whatever?
Yeah, the
Oh,
size
yeah,
and quantity was.
Here's Linux Mint. It just looks like Windows. I mean, you've got your little start menu here, you've got your applications.
So that would be another option.
Yeah, I mean, this computer that I'm running on had Windows 10 on it. It failed, the hard drive failed, so I put in an SSD and it will not run Windows 11. The CPU and the RAM are not CPU. The CPU and the TPM are not available, are not compatible with Windows 11. So I put Linux Mint on there, and you know, in reality, there's not really a whole lot, except for the programs that'll run. There's not really a whole lot that it can't do with as opposed to Windows. So, all right, where am I? Unseen magnet. So here's the browser running in Chrome. You know, I can bring up different web pages, and we're on. Yeah, come on. There we go. So, you know, it just, if you do a lot of the web-based things, email, YouTube, streaming, this, that, and the other thing, it will run fine.
But again, that would be for the people that.
Yeah, if they want to keep
more
your old
hands-on.
hardware. Well, if you want to keep your installing Linux, especially, I mean, we've got these little tutorials on here. It's not that difficult anymore. So, all right. That is Linux.
Isn't Linux like crowdsourced?
Open source.
Open source.
All,
GoFundMe.
yeah, all that means is that it is supported by and maintained by
Young people.
well, whoever wants to do it.
Yeah.
The code is available for anybody to look at, which means that if they try to hide something in there, somebody's going to find it out. So there's not really spyware to be concerned about.
They supervise themselves.
And it's affordable.
Yeah. And again, open source doesn't always mean free, but in this case, there's plenty of Linux versions out there that are free.
Speak for money when you're looking at I mean, like Wikipedia, these other ones, they're always saying, oh, help us pay for this. Yeah.
No,
Linux doesn't ask for money.
no, especially when, I mean, once you've installed it, it's there. I mean, the site that it's downloading from may ask for money. I've never seen one, but it
Okay,
could.
just curious.
Yeah, I see it on Wikipedia once in a while.
All right, let's see
I might
here.
cost them $5.
Where is my? Oh, there it is down there. Okay, so here is your audio. Here is the mini PC. Okay, blah blah blah. That is okay. That's for the email that was sent out. This is the web page here. Everything is there. You've got your Windows background. You've got right click on there. We can go to settings.
So this is running
This
on
is
Linux.
running on the Windows mini PC. This is
Oh,
not
oh.
Linux.
It's on Windows.
This is Windows. We're running.
Real Windows.
We're running right. We're running. We're no feedback. I don't want that. I want system. We want about. And we've got the M150, 16 gig of RAM, 64-bit operating system, Windows 11 Pro. So yeah, this is a nice system. And if you want to stick with Windows, then this is the way to go, unless you want to invest more money. If you're a basic Windows user, and you don't do anything like development or video editing or audio editing, this is fine, even if you wanted to do some audio editing, you can, I mean, I put Audacity on here because at the. I do audio editing sometimes, let's see here. So this is fine for what I wanted. Okay.
Any, maybe we could see any questions at home? From the home crew? Any other questions from the folks watching in from home?
All right, so we're done with that. I've got, if we're okay. Well, do we want to stop or we can go with more videos about
I
the
think we-
minis, but I think,
If we point to the videos, they can come back to it. I think we've
yes,
used them enough.
I think so. I mean, we've given them lots of.
Yeah, lots of alternatives.
We can study for the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Test it on this table.
All right.
Everybody can come in with their new mini and we'll
We got 4 months with.
answer questions on
Yeah.
The test is what solution you pick.
it. Yeah,
What do you decide to do?
and you get an A if you like your choice. AI and digital skills course.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for coming.
How can we get it for these?
It's the what we just showed
No, this page.
on the wall.
Else?
I was reading, you know, there might be some out, I'll go out and look when I get my printer.
Okay.
There might be a pile of them to take,
Thank you.
because I was just noticing. What are they offering? Yeah, I'm gonna go out, and you can talk, Mickey, I'm gonna go get my
I'm at the
printout.
bottom of the class. It's okay.
I know, skip.
Slowly study.
It's called kindergarten.
Huh?
It's called kindergarten. Mickey, I was
My
wondering.
children says that to me. They don't.
Well,
try.
bye, guys. I gotta go.
Just use
Thanks,
the simple
Mickey.
thing. But it's nice to know all these things. I
Yes.
might never use it, but very good. I'm impressed.
Did the people from home get turned off? Must be
Who sees this, all this?
the college.
So go ahead, what was your question?
Mickey, I was thinking, maybe I'll have to call Neil, but I like, doing the home embroidery on my,
Oh, right.
on my sewing
Yes,
machines,
uh-huh.
embroidery
Right,
machines.
right.
And so I have, how do I get their page? Because that would be a specialty thing. I'm wondering if I can do it on the mini.